No! Why can't I catch any trout? What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Walking on Water. In today's episode, we are going to talk about the 3 most made trout mistakes. Have you ever been down at the fishing hole, at the dock, at the lake, the pier, the jetty, whatever, and seen that one guy that is just killing the fish? He's catching all the fish. You're casting. You might get one every couple hours, but he is literally limiting out in the first 5 minutes. We're going to go over, for trout specifically today, on the 3 most made mistakes and how to avoid them and how to set up properly so we can get you in that position where you are bonking fish on the head left and right. Stay tuned. All right, son, I got your leader for trout here today, and we're gonna get you rigged up and we're gonna get it in the water. And I promise you, after like 5 minutes, we're gonna be slaying them out here. I'm telling you, we're not even gonna know. Okay, so I got your leader. Mistake number 1 is setting yourself up with way too long or way too short of a leader when you're fishing for these trout. The leader size, you don't want to be out here using 25-pound mono. You don't want to be using 20. And we're going to go in right now and I'm going to show you what size and how to set up this leader so you are accurately fishing for these trout. All right, guys, so we are going to start out with a leader, and we are looking at 4 pounds. You can go down to 2 and all the way up to 6 for trout. Like we said, very small fish, so 4-pound test is gonna, little mono is gonna get us set up with this leader. Okay, so first things first, to our main line, the first thing that I like to do every single time is grab a small barrel swivel, just like this one right here, and we are just gonna do a freaking clench or the 8 wrap, whatever you guys want to call it. We're just gonna wrap it 8 times around. 1, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
I like to run mine back through the loop. Just run it back through the loop, just like so. If I can get it. There it is. Just like so. Then I like to put it through the loop again, the loop of the line, and then pull it down. It sucks it nice and tight. Clip that off. Okay, so on our main line, we have the barrel swivel, okay? Now, leader size, we talked about 2 to 6 pounds is perfect for all trout. And depending on how you're fishing or where you're fishing, I like to run a maximum of 2 feet of leader and then all the way down to a foot of leader. So we're gonna grab a 2-foot piece right now. We're gonna tie it on and then we're gonna adjust it just a little bit after we tie it on, okay? Okay, now, so we have a 2-foot piece of leader off our main line with a barrel swivel, just like so. So for these trout, and the biggest trout mistake is, number 1 is going to be leader length and size. And let's go into our second mistake. All right, so son, let's get in here. Let's get into our tackle box, and I got you this hook. We're gonna put this hook on it. We're gonna throw some power bait on there, and we're going to catch a giant trout. No. Number 2 trout mistake is hook size and selection. They make specific hooks for catching bass. They make specific hooks for sharks. They even make specific hooks for trout. These trout hooks are small bait hooks with little tiny barbs on each one. So if you want to zoom in here on this, the little tiny barbs on the back, just like so, and then the little tiny barb on the front that will hold your power bait on here. So let's get into tying this hook and talk a little bit more about it. Let's get up close. This is a size 6 eagle claw trout hook, and it does have the double barbs on the back and the barb in the front. The barb in the front's more so for hooking onto the fish, and so it doesn't release from the fish's mouth, but the barbs on the back are gonna hold your bait in place like we talked about earlier. Now, back down, we have our barrel swivel up top, and we have 1.5 feet of leader length. Let's go ahead and tie the hook on really fast, and then we will get into the third and final mistake, okay? All right, we're finally rigged up. We got our bait on, we got our lure size, and we are ready to freaking cast out Trout City. Ooh, that was a good cast. Okay, guys. One of the biggest mistakes I see down at the dock, down at the lake, on the pier, on the jetty, is lure size and bait size. As you can see, this is a joke. I have a giant salmon flasher with a helmeted herring down here, but I see this mistake so many freaking times. People are just using way too big of hooks, way too big a leader, and way too big of spinners, flashers, trolling spinners and flashers, and just bait overall. So let's get into finding a great piece of bait so you guys can bonk those fish on the head down at the water, aka trout. Let's go. All right, now we've got to get in here and find the right bait. Not that one, not this one. Ooh, this one's perfect. All right, guys, the perfect freaking bait. If you want to just get a little bit closer here, this is absolutely the best trout bait I have ever used. We've used worms, we've used marshmallows, we've used real marshmallows with worms, we've used night crawlers, we've used the larva, but I'm telling you, garlic scented power bait or cheese power bait, a matter of fact, is by far my absolute favorite. Now let's get into just the size of bait we want to pull out of here. I see people all the time, like we joked about earlier, grabbing globs out of power bait that freaking big and throwing it on their hook, and little Johnny's wondering how come the trout choked to death on the bottom of the lake before it ever got to the top and there was never a fight for a fish. Okay, so what's happening is just using a little bit too big of power bait for these fish, okay? We're using size 6 hooks. They're pretty small hooks. And so the size of your bait doesn't need to be ginormous by any means. A good rule of thumb is, if you see the top of my fingernail right here, putting the ball of power bait on top of your fingernail and it covering basically the surface of your thumbnail is a great reference point of how big your bait should be. So we got our bait here. We're gonna grab it just like this. We're gonna be balling it up as I'm grabbing the hook. We're going down to our tangled up mess down here. We got it, okay? Now, we have our thumbnail size piece of power bait. We have our size 6 hook. I like to roll it up into a ball just like so, okay? It's a nice tight ball. I don't even hook the hook through it because it is soft. I just simply push it up just like that, and then I start to form the top into a little bit of a cone around those 2 barbs just like so, okay? Just like this. Then we have our nice packed thumbnail sized ball that is perfectly ready to rock and roll and set up in the water. Now, these are the 3 mistakes that most people make while fishing for trout that are keeping you away from being that guy down at the dock or girl down at the dock that catches all those fish. So again, we have the leader length and size down to the hook size, down to the bait size. We're gonna throw just a couple little inline weights, a little freaking weight up above our barrel swivel like this. We're gonna cast it out into the water. We're gonna get on a fish for you guys. Stay tuned, and we will see you with a fish on. There it is. Fish on, baby. Just long enough to get my sweatshirt off, cast it out. Now we're hooked in. Hopefully we can land it for you guys. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Whoop. Let's go. Beautiful little rainbow trout. This just goes to show you, when you correct all 3 of those mistakes, 5 minutes after putting our lines in the water, taking our sweatshirt off, casting out, we are into a fish. Kai, if you can't hear him in the background, is all excited over the fish. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Walking on Water in this episode on how to correct the 3 most made trout mistakes. Stay tuned, guys.